Good morning. How is everybody doing? I'm doing pretty good. So I decided to come on and make a video about a fabric haul that I did actually at the thrift store and talk about how I find some of these thrift store fabrics that I keep finding, because a couple of people commented how lucky I am. But before we get things started, there's just a couple comments I have to make about this past week. I am so impressed with the fierceness of the women who attended the inauguration. Sorry, my hair's doing some weird stuff over here. First off, I just saw a meme this morning of Michelle Obama dressed as a Jedi, and I was like, yeah, really, she is like a Jedi. Wow. I don't even know what to say about that nod to the 70s and that insanely beautiful color that the designer is apparently calling Merlot. I was blown away. Kamala wearing that color, which, by the way, the actual name of that color is cardinal purple, because it used to be reserved for only cardinals in the church. It is a very distinct purple that is like bright, really punchy purple, and it was gorgeous on her. And we have to talk about Gaga. I know a lot of people thought that was like the Mockingjay thing, but I immediately realized that was the dove with the olive branch and her voice. And J-Lo, don't get me started, girl. Speaking Spanish in the nation's capital, it is a new day, right? And then I cannot forget Dr. Jill, our new First Lady, Dr. Jill. First of all, a boucle suit dress ensemble with a velvet accent. You go, girl. And long live boucle. One of my favorite fabrics, by the way, which is just really, you don't see so much anymore, except in the vintage community, right? And then that beautiful evening coat dress that she was wearing, which was another ensemble. There was a dress under that, and then the coat dress was long, which was embroidered with the flower from all 50 states on the border. Yeah, you know what? I'm happy about a lot of things with the new lineup at the White House. Really serious things, but I'm also happy to see this return to these really beautiful fashions. Wasn't a fan of the last presidency on a lot of levels, and wearing a coat that says "I don't care, do you?" to visit children in cages, yeah, not good form. You know what I'm saying? But again, I don't want my channel to be political. I hope that everybody with every political leaning will come and watch my channel and see what kind of cool stuff I found at the thrift stores, or what kind of sewing projects I'm working on, or whatever. So that's where I'm going to leave it. I thought in this video I would show you a couple of things that I got from Redbird Vintage when I was a subscriber about a year ago. So here's just a set of imitation pearls, but it's such a great little thing with this neckline. I normally don't wear these too much because they are an odd length. They're not quite long, and they're not also a choker. They're right in between, but they're nice with this. And then this, which I got one or two boxes in, and I just always loved. It's a bracelet, and I think it's 70s, but I like that it's got this very 40s kind of flair. And I love that it had a horseshoe, because I grew up around horses. If nobody knew, I grew up around horses. All right, so let's dive right into the video about fabric. Oh, one more thing. If you saw my last video, I was talking about how much I love the graphics on the Kleinette. I had this like cheap, this is like a dollar store frame, and I had it like hanging out. And I was like, I'm going to frame that ephemera. So there you go, little ephemera. Okay, so as I talked about in my last video, when I got this box, which I've been selling off a whole bunch of stuff, and it was full of patterns for $5.99, I decided to keep going back till I found the adult patterns, which I know are somewhere lurking, and I ended up finding that great sewing box. I found the sewing book which by the way is exactly like the one from the 80s, except that it's not spiral bound. It's the edition says 1999, but I can tell by the pictures. There's a woman in the pictures who reminds me so much of the mom from that 70s show. I can't remember the actress's name, but the mom's name was Kitty. She's dressed just like Kitty in like all the pictures. And like I immediately looked at her, I'm like, it's Kitty. But red's not in it, right? So anyway, so I continued to go back to the store, and I haven't found too many patterns or anything, but I started to find fabric. So I'm going to go through these in no particular order, but you're going to see some of my faves because I really feel like there are two in here. In fact, I'll do those two last. Here we go. Let's reshuffle that. There are two in here that I was like, you know that feeling when you find a deal and you're like, quick, check out and just get out of the store before they figured out what you have, right? You know, I was having that kind of feeling. And it was like, you know. Anyway, so all of these were $3.99 or $2.99. I spent a total of $18 on all the fabric I'm about to show you. And if you see me looking down, it's because I wrote down the lengths, the widths of them, because I measured them all out when I got home. So let's start with the first one. So the first one is this fabric, which is, I'll show you guys the grain. It's just a light blue with a darker blue crosshatch. And I have some vintage chairs that I've been working on, and I think I'm going to use this to cover the seats. And this was 1 3/4 yards, so it should be just enough to cover the seats. We'll see. It may not be, unfortunately. And the next two fabrics, after I bought them, I kind of had buyer's remorse because I'm like, what am I going to do with these? They're not really my style. But I always figure when I buy a fabric, especially like the next one, I can make a muslin out of it. And it might grow on me once I make the muslin out of it when I'm making something else. So it's this really kind of, to me, I don't think it's an industrial fabric. It feels too light to be like an upholstery fabric. But can you see how it almost looks like coral reef or leaf print, but it's in blue. And it's not very vintagey looking. It's much more modern looking. But I thought when I try and do the design of that shirt I want to make, this might work out really well to do a muslin, right? Just see how it works. This next one also, like after I bought it, this is definitely industrial fabric. I can't imagine using it for anything else. The salvage says Waverly. This one also, the salvage says Waverly. I wondered if these were somehow related to each other. And this has, okay, this is 1 yard plus 10 inches. So it's 46 inches. It's not very much. And then this one was, this one is 2 yards. And if you look at it, honestly, it reminds me very much. I don't know if you can see it. It's a nice navy. And then it's kind of an ecru white. It's not really a bright white. And it reminds me a lot of a pattern you saw a lot in the 90s for upholstery. I kind of regret buying it. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it. I was thinking that if the other blue I have is not enough for the seat cushions, I could use this. My hair is like so crazy today. Yeah, I really need to wash it. A little TMI there. I really need to wash it. And so in order to put it back, I had to do like, there's enough pins and like stuff going on in my hair. It's like a suspension bridge, really. And I don't have any hairspray. I know I have hairspray, but I gotta find it. Anyway, I also got this. This was just not even 1 yard. It's just this little ditzy print. It's kind of vintagey looking. And I have a back door in my kitchen. And the way it's situated, it does have a shade on it, like one of those cheap blinds that they have to put in apartments. And it's okay, but the way it's situated, when you're sitting on the couch, if someone walks in my backyard, they can like look directly at me as I'm on the couch, and I'm not so in love with that feeling. So, you know. All right, so let's move on to the other fabulous find, which was this. This is going to show up weird because it's a stripe, so I'm not going to show it too long. I'm just going to give you guys a shot of it. Okay. Obviously, navy, red, white, and blue. It is 3 3/4 yards, and it is some type of a vintage stretch fabric. Even though I can honestly say it doesn't have a whole heck of a lot of stretch to it, it's rayon. And In fact, I'll show you. You can see it's got a bit of a transparency. Can you guys see my hand behind it? It has a little bit of transparency, so I have to be careful what I make out of this. I haven't exactly decided what to make out of it because it's a lot of pattern. I'll show you. Like, see how much pattern that is? You know, this much pattern. I don't know if I'd want to do like a dress out of this. It would be overwhelming. What I was thinking of doing was doing a two-piece dress. So maybe doing a skirt out of this. I could make a chevron skirt out of this, which would be lovely. And then I could pair that with a white top, and anything I had left over, I could make like a smaller top so that if I did decide that I wanted to wear them both together and be super patriotic, I could do it, but it is a lot of all over print. And here's the dog. Do you want to say hi? Come here. Here. Come up, Nay. You don't want to say hi? You want to be on camera? Yeah, see? Look, you're on camera. See? What's that? Is that Lucky? That's Lucky. Hi, Bob. You okay? Okay. Yeah, it's lipstick. Does it smell funny? Okay. He doesn't like my lipstick. Apparently. All right, so here's the piece de resistance. You guys, I love this fabric so much. You have no idea. I hope. Yeah, the camera's not going to want to pick this up. This is navy. It is wool. And you can feel that it's wool. You know how wool has that very distinct, a little bit itchy feel. It's wool. It's got a very, very light white pinstripe and an even lighter red pinstripe. And I just know the camera's not going to pick it up. I'll just hold it here and maybe you guys will be able to see it. Maybe on a larger screen. Okay, so this is 3 yards, which is more than enough for me to make trousers. I have a confession to make. Of all the things I've sewn in my life, I have never made trousers or jeans because I have a 35, I used to have a 36, I now have a 35-inch inseam. I have a very high rise. I have a very long torso. When I graduated from high school, I was 6 feet tall. And because of the cancer, I shrunk a little bit. I'm now only like 5'11" and like 3/4 or some nonsense like that. But I have to do a lot of adjusting just in my normal life on trousers. I very often buy a pair of trousers and I have to take the hem out and redo the hem. These are wool. I'll have to line them. So I'm very nervous about doing that, but I think I'm going to try. So, stay tuned. So my tip about finding this stuff, because a lot of people have said, well, how do you find this fabric? Is I don't look in the craft area for fabric. In my particular Goodwill and some other thrift stores and Goodwills that I've been to, the fabric, they don't know it's fabric. They just see like this, right? And they're like, oh yeah, put it in tablecloths or sheets. So I look in curtains, tablecloth, sheets, that whole rack. And that's where I find fabric. I found all of this fabric there. And like I said, all of this fabric, which includes 6 yards of these 2 absolutely gorgeous fabrics, $18. So yeah, I kind of made out like a bandit on that. But yeah, so that's my pro tip on finding fabric at thrift stores is you got to go look for patterns and notions. I look in the craft section because that stuff ends up there. But when I'm looking for fabric, I go over to tablecloths, towels, sheets, bedspreads, curtains, and that's where I find all this stuff. Because the Goodwill employees aren't really examining it. They're seeing a big piece of something, and they're just putting it in tablecloths or bedspreads or sheets, depending on the fabric. And these were, by the way, all spread out. Like the wool fabric was over like where there were like bedspreads. And then this fabric here was over in tablecloths, but then this fabric here was in sheets. So, yeah. And actually, I think this one was in curtains. So they get, just go through all of them, take a look, and that's where I find them. Another tip that I've been thinking about talking about is if you would like to make yourself a suit, and you're finding that wool is too expensive for you to buy, but you'd like a wool suit, is go and look through the men's section. Based on your size, try and find a men's size suit that's maybe twice your size. Then take it home and take it apart. It saves you a lot of steps because what you're going to be doing is just narrowing everything, maybe tapering waist, adding darts, things like that. But it's a great way to recycle. It's another great way to recycle, and it's a great way to save money on wool because wool's incredibly expensive. But men don't wear suits like they used to. So I always find these beautiful men's vintage suits that are wool from the 50s, 60s, 70s, are gorgeous, even 80s, that are gorgeous, that, you know, grandpa died and the kids sent all this stuff to Goodwill. And you can get like a men's suit for like $20, and it's like, you can't even buy that much wool for $20, and it's, you know, virgin wool and whatever, right? So that's my pro tip on finding fabric at the thrift store. So if you like this video, please subscribe, like, ring the bell, leave comments. I love comments. I'd love to hear what other people thought about the fashions at the inauguration. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye. Have a great day.